We are live. Heyo, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Back at it with a solo Zelda game. Working on the CoopCouchGaming game, if you will. But yeah, sorry if today is a bit more of a relaxed stream. Work has been a bit rough this week. I've been a touch tired, a little bit of a headache, so going to play it nice and cool. Just kind of, take it nice and relaxed and kind of go from there. So, but yeah, if you're sticking around and watching, thanks for that. Just note to note rather. Yeah, it is going to be just more of a sort of podcasty, sort of chill stream. So don't be expecting super excited. Entertainment on par with our usual Friday stream, or even Mitchell's Nautical Monday. Yeah, that was a really good stream. I enjoyed watching that back, and I enjoyed being part of it a little bit too. But yeah, definitely hope that he keeps the solo streams up. But yeah, we'll go ahead and switch on over. Yeah, we go. Uno momento. There we go. So we should be able to. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so when last we left off last week with the development, we had playtested Dungeon 1, and it worked, which is good, because we don't have to do anything else with that. That being said, there is one thing I needed to change real quick that I just remembered, and it's nothing major. Is it Emaps? D-Maps maybe? Yep. We need 06. 06 would be our compass location. There we go. But yeah, other than that, Dungeon 1 is complete, so that is exciting. But yeah, that's what we finished up. We did the playtest last time. And we had started the town of Bomb, but we hadn't really gotten too far into it. We did some of the stuff in the outskirts, if you will. We did a little bit of that last time. I cleaned it up a little bit and changed it a little bit. But I went ahead and did, just, between last stream and this stream, I did go ahead and actually just develop the rest of the town. So that'll save us a good bit of time into this one. We'll be able to spend it doing some actually fun stuff, aka developing the optional dungeons for this area. So we're going to have this one here, which is going to be more of a traditional dungeon, where there's just prizes to be had, more or less. Not necessarily required, it's optional, but it'd be some nice rewards to be had, some rupees and things like that. The second optional dungeon, if you go into town, you come across, the other optional dungeon is going to be here. And the deal with this one, it's going to be a new ability unlock. So, going back to our diagram from before, I can go ahead and throw you here. Ah, too big. Ah, too small. Oh, paint. Why you do this to me? Alright, so you basically have your different areas. So you have Yefdu, the town of Yefdu, in the center. As described before, at each of the different main geographical locations, there's also going to be a town that's more or less just like a respite for the player. But at each one of the towns, there's going to be an optional, sort of challenge dungeon. It's just a really short one. It's only going to be a few rooms, but it's going to either test the player's ability of, combat abilities, or their puzzle solving, or both. But yeah, that's going to be the gist for the dungeon that I had just said about a second ago. This one here. Each one of the 4 geographical locations, each one of the towns in those locations are going to have an optional skill dungeon. Which, while again not required to actually complete the game, it will be very, very handy. For example, the idea for the reward for this particular dungeon is going to be the spin attack. Link will be able, or Coop, Sir Coopin will be able to unlock the spin attack, which will come in handy pretty much in most circumstances, I would say. So that will be a very nice unlock for Mr. Sir Coopin. Yeah, so we have that. I did change, one thing I do still need to change, I need to change out the, what do you call them, the rupees. I need to change out the rupee icon for souls, because like if we're keeping this to brand, if you will, with our typical FromSoft-esque games that we play, we will not be using rupees, we'll be using souls. So that's something I do need to change in the actual graphics. That being said, what do you call them? That being said, I did change out the candle. I did actually make my own little candle bit, which you can see here. Yeah, I changed out the candle animation to our own little pyromancy one. So that's pretty cute. I was actually happy with how that turned out. But there's also going to be some other candle spells, if you will, that will also be unlocking. And I'll edit these to be slightly different for each of the different types of spells that you unlock. Like I said, it'd be cool if we had like a protection spell and like other offensive spells. So like bigger flame, bigger thing like that. But that's gonna come later, and that's also gonna require some additional sprite work that I could do now, but I prefer not to, just simply because it takes time, and I would really like to focus on the optional town dungeons, because if we get those done, then this whole bit right here, what's gonna be a good color for that? This whole bit, like right here, will be complete once we finish out the optional dungeons. And from there, I'll just put com for complete. So once we actually get that section done, we'll be halfway through our first major area of the game. And from there, I would likely go ahead and work toward the town of Yeftu. Like, I'm thinking along the lines of developing it in the preferred route that you would be taking if you played the game normally for the first time. You know what I mean? In theory, I anticipate that most players will pretty much do everything in here. They'll explore the forest region. You will need an item from one of the other regions to actually get to the second forest dungeon. So that will have to be something that you come back for. But they're not going to have access to that until they go to one of the other geographic regions. But the anticipated sort of completion route, if you will, is they'll finish the forest, they'll go to the town of Yeftu, they'll then progress to the mountain region, just based mostly and solely on difficulty. The forest is going to be the absolute easiest area of the game, followed by the mountains. The mountain region is going to be the second, easiest. So they'll be able to get the items that they need there to be able to complete the rest of the forest, and also they'll get items that they'll need to unlock the shortcuts between the different regions. Because initially the shortcuts are going to be locked out. You'll have to always go back to the town of Yeftu if you want to progress from one region to the next. But if you have a particular item, and it will be a magic item, from the mountain region, it will allow you to access quicker routes that take you directly from one region to the next. So that's sort of the gist there. And the other main reason that you would need to go to these towns outside of healing, because in the towns themselves, each town will also have a fairy fountain. Yeah, the other thing is each town will have a certain like special item that only that town sells or has available. Whether it be the different health rings, you know, the different armor rings, or other, you know, similar items. So that's sort of the gist there. But let's get into some more mapping, shall we? So what we're going to want to do, we want to define, I believe it's going to be here. We're going to want to define our new dungeons. So we have our Town of Bomb, for the sake of my clarity, Town of Bomb. So Dungeon de Coop is level 1, and that is where you start the game at. That's just my test one. I just play around in that one. So what we're going to want to do is Town of Bomb, optional. I forgot there's a limit. TOB, optional 1, number 1. And that's going to be our rewards dungeon. Type, it's going to be NES dungeon. Appearance, we do not want overworld. We want one of these. I don't know which one I would want to do though. I'm half tempted to do, what do you call them? There's a bunch of different ones available. I don't remember what some of these other ones do. We want instead, let's just put it at that, and we'll see what that looks like and go from there. We don't really need a thing for that. NES dungeon, we want map, what for? Because, let's see, we're gonna want, we need to go to maps. No, it's not D maps. We want, not map count. Oh, what do we want? What's it called? I'm trying to think. This is when my brain decides to shut off. Is when I get too tired. No, it should just be under the D map. Yeah, and then yeah, because we have map 3, which is bomb, map 2, which is Coop, and then our test map. So we want map 4 because that's a clean slate. Yep, a new clean slate. This one. Type NES dungeon, which is what we want. Let me think. Yeah, I guess we set that. Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm a wee bit tired, so I'm kind of along the lines of like, well, just trying to remember all of our buttons. For the sake of simplicity, since this is going to be our little dungeon, our little rewards dungeon, if you will, we'll do something. This is where it gets fun because you can basically, it's just too much power. Too much power. We can do a little thing like that. We have, that would be an interesting one. You would essentially have to choose your route. Yeah, why don't we do that? We'll have it start out, and then it branches. And now you have to, it's basically a, a branching route, with one of them being a direct route to the prize, more or less. And then the other ones are a bit longer and more tedious. Yeah, I like to think that. Yeah, we can do that. You will continue here. It will be 64. The compass will direct to 24. If I'm remembering correctly, I believe that it's left to top as far as how they distinguish it. I mean, we can look here in a second as soon as we hop on over. Yeah, it looks fine. It looks fine and dandy. We want it to be level 0 since it's not going to be one of the major rooms. What do you call them? Let's see. Boop, boop, boop. And we're to 4. And then we can go ahead, for the sake of simplicity. Oh, saving, no. For the sake of simplicity, we can. Oh, what do you call them? Go ahead and copy these so that we have quick access to our little templates. And go from there. Yeah. And then what did we say? It was 64. Screen 64 is our starting room. Let me double check before I make any mistakes and have to start over. Yep, it'd be screen 64. Screen 64 will be our starting room. It will actually be, yeah, 24. Yeah, I got that right. Surprisingly enough, I was actually able to do the right thing. Okay. So we'll go to screen 64. And what do you call them? We'll start the creative process, if you will. Yeah, so this is that. I kind of want this to be, what do you call them though? I kind of want this to be a fancy woodland style dungeon though. Let me think. If there's a sea, if there's like a default sea set for that. D-maps, appearance, we want, oh, password, caves. No, this isn't what I want anyway. That really doesn't matter all that much. What we want is doors. We want door combo set. We want, what do we want? We want, oh, I wish there was a way to actually see some of this. Doors. So not CSET. We want Outlands doors. That should be what I'm thinking. Yeah, we want Outlands. Fancy, fancy. Okay. Actually, why don't we go ahead and define our Outlands room template, just get the template set up and out of the way. That way we won't have to worry about setting it up ever again. Because we could just set this up like so. No, that's not what I want. That's absolutely not what I want. Yeah, we need, where is that? Is that correct? Yeah, that's right. There we go. We'll do the same thing here. We'll do the same thing here. Yeah, it's not right. That's okay, easy enough to fix. Alright, we'll hop on doop and doop as soon as I get it. Doop. And boom. And pretty much from here, no, that's not what we want. Pretty much from here, that's also not what we want. Where's our nice little things here? It's gonna be one of you blocks here. Yeah, there it is. I was looking around for our little block and I wasn't finding it. But now I have. Something along those lines. I need to fix that. But yeah, once we get this set up, that'll be nice because then we won't have to actually set it up again. We can just draw from the template. Then we want our upper, and we want our lower. We want our lower, and we want our upper. And we are good. And then essentially it is somebody's blowing past the house. That's always fun to deal with. We want saving. Yeah, we want something like a wood look. That's almost too much. Is there one that's not quite as super ultra green or like grainy looking? Because that's almost too much. Oh, but this, that's also a little too much for my tastes. I don't know. Maybe we should just do just a normal dungeon-esque floor. Yeah, why don't we do that? We know it'll look fine that way. Yeah. Yeah, something simple. You don't have to overthink it. I mean, the stone look, but even that's almost too much. I'm gonna reserve some of those other ones for, special, like boss rooms and things. What with the bosses and such. Alright, so we've got our template. What did I do? Oh, garbage. Did I just really do that? Okay. Oh, hit myself the copy button instead of the button I actually wanted. Oops. That could have been a lot worse. Fortunately, we live in the modern era where you can just undo stuff. It's just that easy. You make a mistake in life and then you just hit Control Z. Except in this, because this game, or this thing does not... It's V? Or no, U. Control. Okay. It's a bit of an odd one, but okay. Huh. Noted. I'll have to remember that. It's, the shortcut for this is U. Nothing wrong with that, I suppose, but it is a little bit weird. A little funky up in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and lay out our design here. Yep, and that should be our design that we're aiming for. So essentially now we just need to make sure our doors and everything are what we want. And sorry if I'm going a little quick. I've been trying to make it go by a little quicker, just simply because I'm gonna have to replace the color. Color set fix. No, not dungeon floor. I want all of them. Full screen. Oh, one other thing with the template for this, the Outlands has pillars that operate as the like the buffer for the door and the wall. It's one thing I did forget, but easy enough to implement and throw in there. So, boop, and boop, and should this be, yeah, should just be the same. And we'll do the same for the bottom. Yep. And we'll do the same for there. Then we'll cut to the right. Let me just do this real quick, just so I don't accidentally. Oh, that's not what I wanted. So that I don't mess it up. Okay, so that's also going to be boop and boop. Boop. Yep, and boop. Okay, so those are good. We want that to be the same on the other side. That's not where I wanted that. Yep. Okay. What do you call them? Oh, brain. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now our template should be good. Let's go ahead and turn off walls or doors here. We just want solid wall and solid wall. Okay. Then we'll go to color fix, full screen. We'll copy that, and that will be our new template for that. There we go. Because now we can do what we did before, but with the correct thing, which is nice and fancy. There we go. Go ahead and copy all of you to where you need to be, and boom jams. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty nice. Okay, so now we can actually do what we were talking about before. We can add our doorways and start to define our bit here a bit. Like what I did there, define the bit a bit. Because that is exactly what we're doing. So these first couple be open door. Well, the first room will be just open because well, we actually need door down. Go away. We need door down in order for side warp to work. So we'll have a side warp so they can actually get out of the dungeon. This here will be open. This here will have a shutter. We'll make this a puzzle. They'll solve a little puzzle here. Really simple one here. And then I'm thinking we'll have a more complex puzzle here that they'll need to solve in order to proceed onward. So these will all be shutters here. That'll just be an open door. So this will be a puzzle, this will be a harder puzzle, and then this here will be a boss. Which boss? I haven't quite decided yet. We could do, what do you call them? Somebody else is blowing past. Probably the same person. We could just do some simple dodongos. I feel like that would be a decent, because we don't really want like a boss for the optional dungeon, especially this early on still. So maybe we can just throw just a couple of dodongos in here. A couple of dodongos, and we can throw in some oh, what do we want to add in? I could throw in some of the whiz lights that I made. That could be an interesting challenge to have to try to chase them down while you have a couple of dodongos running about. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that'd be a nice little challenge for the player, especially if the player has not really seen dodongos before. For the sake of it, we can add a couple of flamies in there too. There we go. Yeah, that'd be a nice challenge for the player. We'll have the doors here be, what do you call them? One-way shutters. So those doors will actually shut once they enter the boss room, which is what we want, because we don't want the player to be able to just camp by the door. That's no fun. That'll be a shutter because that'll open once the enemies are defeated. What do you call them? There will be. No, I won't have a item drop here. The next room I'll probably have a heart piece, or just the heart rather. So, what was I needing to do? Enemy flags. We want enemies, triggers. No, we don't need any of that. We'll also have this be dungeon boss. Carries item. I shouldn't really need any of that. Should really just be a matter of. It should just do it now. unfortunately. I'm going to say, honestly, I don't think that really matters considering we have it set to NES dungeon type already, so I don't think you really have to double define it. At least not that I'm aware of. I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem to make a difference. This here, we actually might have open, because we'll allow the player to walk out this way once they complete the challenge. So we'll have this as an alternative exit once they complete the dungeon. Yeah, that seems like a good option to do. Oh, let's see. So that's good. This here we'll just have be a simple just encounter room. Even then, actually, why don't we can just do something simple. We'll just do a couple of flamies in this room, plus some gels, just because those are annoying to have to try to get around. So we'll do that, leading into that. We'll actually have this room, that's not wrong. We'll have this room be optional. They can just run through this room if they wanted. And then the rest of these rooms leading up to the boss here, those, I'm thinking, we'll just have those open as well. Like, we don't want this dungeon to really take that long. This is really supposed to just be an optional, just really quick dungeon. So, and even then, like, I mean, the rewards for completing this will basically be a heart and maybe some rupees. So it's not all that big of an issue or that big of a deal. So we'll kind of just make this one just pretty quick if the player really wants it to be. Not locked. We could do a lock for this in theory, but no, I don't want to do that. I want to keep this dungeon open concept, except for the entrance. The entrance I want to have puzzles, just to keep the player thinking. Okay, so go ahead, do that, do this. Good. This will lead to this. Open and open. That'll lead to this room where the boss is at. And again, this dungeon doesn't necessarily need like an actual traditional boss, considering it's, you know, more or less just a small optional bit. Like, I don't want to dedicate an entire boss to specifically this optional dungeon. Alright, good. I thought it looks good to me. Okay, so let's go back to the town of Bomb real quick. So this is screen 53, so 353. That's where we want to direct this side warp. Triggers A, we want town of Bomb, we want screen 53. So that should be what we need there. This is just entrance exit. Yeah, to return to point A, which I have to find here. So that all should be good as far as this here. Go ahead, head back up here to the top. We'll do the same here. We'll go to side warp. Triggers, it will be A will trigger top there. We'll go back to the town of Bomb. We'll go to screen 53. Alright, so screen 53. It'll be another entrance exit. Warp back to point A. So that should also be good. And I'll test all of this stuff off screen. Like, like I'm like for these sessions, I really just want to like just push like actual just laying stuff out and getting it done. Because the past few streams I've done a lot of what do you call them? Oh, you're not going to do what I want? Because it's a darn shutter. I'm about to go and define a new dungeon set door combo. Ugh, I don't want to do that. Well, for that matter, why don't we could just, we should just be able to copy, right? Oh, garbage. I forgot how tedious and blah this was. Yeah. Oh, that's no fun. Well, I mean, it takes all of a few minutes. We might as well do it. It just stinks that you can't copy an existing set and use it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would just be just obvious, but... Oh, well, that's okay, that's okay. Overlay walkthrough, that's what we want. Out lens green. We'll have it be green. Don't want to do this part. You know what? I'll deal with that another time. That's not exactly fun to watch. So I'll modify the rest of these later. We can just leave these as is for now. Until I redefine the color set. Yeah, because, I mean, it still functions, right? So, anyway, so what we'll want to do, what we can do, we'll go ahead and set up our puzzle for, actually, you know what, let's go ahead and decorate this first room a little bit. What do we want in this first room is the real question to be asked. What do we want in the dungeon here? You just want to go classic? We could just go classic. Yeah, let's just go classic with it. Yeah, nothing wrong with going classic on occasion, right? And what we can do for the sake of spicing it up a little bit, we have a nice little runway here that you can follow. Yeah, we have a nice little runway. Maybe even define it a little bit further and have a nice little straight line that the player knows that they can follow there. Okay, so this will be our first puzzle here. First puzzle room. We'll need push weight, which is just a normal block basically. And if you look over here, the push weight, I mean that's just how it's defined, just in general. So that is what we want as far as our push puzzle. We want our push. Let's see. Let's make it a bit of a tricky one. So it'd be a push puzzle. The player has to push this block to this corner. So what we'll do, we'll need combo flags. We'll need push. No, not four-way trigger. We want push, block. We want push, block, four-way mini. We'll do that. Then we'll need combo flag. What do you call them? Combo flag. Oh, where is it? Block trigger. Sword trigger. No push blocks. Let's actually do that. Yeah, we don't want the player to be too. Well, no, you know what? Nah, forget that. Nah, if the player gets frustrated and pushes the block the wrong way, then it's their fault. Alright, so block trigger will be Flag 66 right there. Actually, you know what? No push blocks. Let's make it to where they can't block the door, because that would actually be kind of game breaking. So, well, at least make it to where they can't block the doorway. And for that matter, let's go ahead and do that for the other one there as well, just in case. Just in case they mess up so bad that they can't. Because, yeah, for the other push block rooms, I don't really think there's like a way to really trap yourself. Like, this is a push one. You could probably... So this room here, all of these are push blocks, but they're useless push blocks. Why don't we... That's actually a good bit. Yeah, we should probably... Let's go ahead, no push blocks blocking any of our entrances, just in case the player somehow messes it up so bad that they literally entrap themselves. Because that is no fun for anybody. Yeah, while I like to frustrate the player, I don't want the game to be broken because of something frustrating the player ends up doing to themselves. So, okay, so this in theory should be correct now. Let's see. So we'll make this one a bit trickier. It'll be similar to the other one, but there'll be a lot more options to mess it up. So I'm thinking along the lines of something like, well, let's just define our space first. Oh, saving. Yeah, let's define our space first. Okay, so this is basically what we're at now. What we kind of want the player to have to do. We want the player... let me think. Because in theory, if we put a block here, the player would be able to push it to here. And then they could push it up. Okay, actually, yeah, let's do that. So instead of this, like that, we could do something like... Alright, well, let's put the block there. We'll say that the block, or where they need to put the block, is here. The player will need to push their block across... Yeah, let's see. We'll do it like this. No, actually, we'll need to do the opposite. We'll need to do this, and this. They can push the block to here, push it up. No, because then they'd be stuck across the wall. So we're going to have to basically set it up to be something along these lines, where they have to push it across, up. Because no, they're still going to be stuck though. They'll have to push it across. Unless we do this. Yeah, because then they'd be able to push it across, up, across, and down to fit there, which is where they need it. I feel like that's within reason, while also allowing for some potential mistakes. Yeah, why don't we, let's do it that way. Plus, this design here is a little bit less likely to be noticed right away. Like, they might see, oh, there's, something weird going here. But, okay, yeah. Yeah, that'll work. So then we'll do combo flag, we'll do push blocks. We'll do no push blocks in front of the entrance door, just in case. They do need the reset for some reason. And then it'll be push block, four-way mini, four-way mini. It'll be you right there. Because, yeah, they would have to push it up. If they try to push it down or some other direction, it's not going to work. Even then, if they did try to push it and then push it up here, they would also be stuck. Because then they, well, they could push it to here and then across, but pushing it across up, that'd be the quicker route. So yeah, so that looks good. We'll do that. And then what do you call them? What do you call them? Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. We will have some enemies in here though, because why would we make it that easy for the player? Yeah, I'm thinking just some simple gels. Maybe do. Actually, what are those things called? No, not Tektites. Oh, what are the other ones? Zols. Let me throw some Zols in there. Zols are a nice challenge. Yeah, we'll throw some Zols in there. And then we can throw some gels just for the added nuisance of it. Yeah, we'll keep this room fairly simple. We might add like one gel just to be a nuisance. But yeah, this would be the like the gel fire sort of theme here. As we're gonna have our fire dudes here, we're gonna have some more fire stuff here. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so then once they solve this puzzle, they'll either proceed up, which would be the shorter route to get to the boss, or they'll take one of these other side routes, which will take a little bit longer and be a bit more of a challenge. That being said, it's still going to be challenge within reason. And again, it's going to be more like, what do you call them here? It's going to be more like just progressively getting more difficult, if that makes sense. So, we'll paste. Oh, no. That's not what I wanted to do. That's not what we wanted to do at all. We'll keep it simple. We'll do this. Yes, paste to there. But yeah, each time, or each of these side rooms that you go through, it's going to become progressively more and more gel-y, if you... and yeah, it's going to become more and more just annoying as you continue on these side routes, because that's kind of the bit. You might find the side routes to be appealing, but then it turns out they're the not fun and not appealing routes. What do you call them here? Want some Zols. Throw some Zols in there. Throw some more gels in there. We'll paste into that. Okay. And then here, it's going to get even more chaotic because we're going to end up with 5 Zols and some more of those little ones. There we go. And then in this last room, it's going to be nothing but Zols, because that makes for a super annoying challenge, because nobody likes Zols. They don't drop anything. They shouldn't even be able to fly because their bodies are too big for their wings or whatever. Like, just annoying all around. So I feel like that's going to be a pretty decent bit. This is like the slime dungeon, if you will. A little optional slime dungeon. Okay, so that's good. I mean, that's more or less it. Like, I'll define these side rooms a bit better. But outside of that, I mean, this is pretty much done. Should we reward the player for getting to the end of these side routes? We probably should. Like, actually reward them too, and not just throw a mimic at them. Although, I'm half tempted have one real box, have one mimic. because that's fun, right? It's like, oh, 2 boxes for the price of 1 dungeon route. What? And then it turns out one of them eats your shield and you're out like 200 gold. Effectively, you've lost more money doing the dungeon than you get as a reward for actually completing the dungeon. Yeah, I know, under combo 0, that's fine. We want under combo to be lit chest. Although, in theory, it actually shouldn't make a difference. Because, no, not for all of the maps. Just for this floor, silly. Did it do it? Should have done it. Where'd it go? Under combo, yep. It should do it automatically, since I set the tile to do that, but it's always nice to doubly check, because sometimes it doesn't do what you want it to do. Or rather, it does what it's supposed to do, but it does the thing that you don't expect it to do, because sometimes you just don't know how to set it up to do what it needs to do. Special item. Like I said, I'm going to change out the rupees. I want to change out the icons for those. That's going to take a little bit more sprite work though, so yeah, we'll have the actual prize for either route be 20 rupees. You know, nothing too major, but still a nice little prize for completing the dungeon. Or completing the harder routes of the dungeon, if you will. Not that they're inherently harder, it's just more annoying routes. Plus, also, the Mimic is, yeah, that's going to be a little fun bit to be able to just throw in there for the sake of it. The boss room. In the boss room, we want to toss in some fun times, so we can do, what do you call them here? I was going to throw water into this room. But not just any water, we want like this weird looking nasty poison water, because we want to make sure that the player and Link, well, Link, the player, Sir Coop in here, knows not to go into the poison juice. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much going to be the palette that gives us, like, probably the best result. Yeah, let's do that. We'll do... Let me think. What do we want to do? Well, we don't want Dive Warp. I can promise you that. Do we just want, like, right in front of the door here? Do, like, some poison bit? Eee, too much. Yeah, we can do some poison bit right in front of the door. Actually, we can do that. We can do something similar in front of all the doors. That way, when they actually get into the room, they'll have to try to make their way to one of the safer bits to actually find a safe spot by which to defeat the Dodongos and all the other things. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work good. Yeah, I like the looks of that. Or is that just what we want to do for the rest of the dungeon? For the Zol encounters? Yeah, we're gonna just make this dungeon just like Poison Central. For that matter, though, we can go, or we'll need to go D-Maps, Optional Dungeon, Disable, because later on there's going to be an item that allows the player to swim. And we don't want that to be functioning in this room, or in this dungeon, rather. What's it called? Is it Flipper? Flippers. Yeah, we want to disable flippers in this dungeon, because that defeats the point of it being poison. There we go. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. Yeah, why don't we do that for the rest of this dungeon too? We can just have more poison bit. But like, oh, what we can do is, starting into it, have like very little poison. So like we can have like just like hardly any poison at all. And we'll pretty much just mirror, we can just mirror the two different side routes. But as they progressively get further and further, the poison starts to become a little bit more intrusive. What did I do different here? Oh, whoa, whoa. Oh, it's because I have it on a different color palette. There we go. Okay. We'll do this, this. Come over and match that on the side. Okay, so for this room, we'll also have some poison bits. This room won't be quite as intrusive as far as the poison bits go. We'll have this more of a just straightforward, just straight shot to it. Do some of this and this and this. A little bit of that. Nah, we don't want that. We want, nah, we want something. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Okay. Yeah, we want something a little less intrusive for the easy route of the dungeon. Okay, and then we'll continue on. Now it'd just be just a straight up line separating the room. Okay. And now we'll do like several big plotches. Yeah, we'll do some big plotches on either end here. Good, good, good. And then we will continue on to the final room, which will basically be nothing but poison, but we're gonna have it be we're gonna have it follow like a route, so the player's gonna have to like stay in a specific like route, which will be pretty difficult simply because the controls to actually maneuver are a bit finicky, just because that's just how all games were back then. It's like, controls, you mean pushing on one button and just move all the way to one place or whatever? So we'll have it kind of go snake like this, have it stop here at this little bit, and have it pick back up here, have it loop back around and down. Okay, yeah, that'll work, that'll work. And then we'll kind of have it just like, just go back up, and that will be, that'd be this room. Nice, I like the looks of that. That'd be a frustrating room. Yeah, that'd be a really frustrating room, and that's exactly what I want out of this one. Yeah, it's like this is the bad ending of a video game. Like, you start here and you have 3 different endings. It's like, this is the nice good ending, and then you just have like the bad ending, and then you'll have like the worst ending. Goodness. Okay, so we'll do something similar to what we just did. We'll do like this, hook down, No. What do? We hooked it down because it needed to, because that's going to allow for a little bit more room. Because we don't want to make it to where it's like actually impossible because of the Zoles. Because the Zoles do need space to operate. What do you call them here? Alright, so we'll do this. We'll make this one a little less sort of funky. Yeah, that'll work. Because what do we... No, we actually did have a bigger rust bit there at the bottom. I guess that is fair. If the player decides to fight the Mimic, then it's going to be a bit more of a challenge having to fight it on such a small platform. Oh, let me think. There is something I do need to change quality-wise about that, though. I think... What is it? D-maps? Let me double check, because there was something that we needed to change mechanically here, I think, for it to work. No, maybe not. I can't outright recall if... I wonder if it's a thing by room basis. No? I guess I could be wrong. This here is actually, this is what I need to actually do that for the one room where the pit's at. Have a time delay. That's one thing I can add, but yeah, I guess I'm just overthinking it. Yeah, because I don't really see where that would be an option, so I'm guessing it should be okay then. Okay. Why not? I mean, it is what it is. Even then, I don't think it would make that big of a difference for the player if they did. Well, no, it actually would make a difference because they cannot be allowed to walk over that. Combo, water, okay, that's fine. It is a walkable, which is what we want. Okay, so, let's see. Okay, so it is a little bit of a different path, but that's kind of what I wanted anyway. So that actually works out fine. Okay, so Mimic, chest with 20 rupees, complete. In theory, actually, we're basically done now. Because, yeah, I mean, we're basically done. I'll add a little bit of decorative bit for some of the water in these other rooms, but beyond that, oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh. But beyond that, I mean, this mini dungeon's basically done now. Add a couple bits, add a couple bits. A couple wee little bits, just a couple of bits. A few little bits here and there. And there. Alright. Good. What do you call them? We got this just about done, which is good. We're making good progress. There we go. Nice. And then in this room, we'll just have the old heart container. What, you thought that it was going to be easy to get to it? What? You think that this is some kind of an easy game? No. At what point have I said that this is going to be an easy game? No, instead, they're going to have to do a little bit of parkour action. They'll proceed upwards. They'll go down, they'll do all that cool fun stuff, then they'll have to go grab it. And for the sake of keeping it symmetrical, because I love it when stuff's symmetrical, we'll do this. Just like so. And because we want to be extra, I wouldn't say mean, but we'll throw a mimic to keep it symmetrical and also to keep it interesting if the player decides to get a little greedy. By this point, I feel like the player either should have known or will know that you can't open normal treasure chests unless you approach them from the south. So, if they do happen to run into that one, then it should, I mean, it won't immediately eat them, which is nice. But it will also, yeah. They should already know that they won't be able to open it unless they're here. So they'll either have to think, oh, well, I don't have the ladder. There's no way I can reach it. Or, you know, and at this point, you know, they could think that. But the likelihood that they're going to think that, and especially Mitchell thinking that, Mitchell's not going to know that there's a ladder that would allow him to access that from the south. He's just going to see it and say, oh, it's probably a mimic because there's no way I can actually open it normally. So I feel like that's, yeah, I feel like that's a pretty reasonable bit to sort of toss in there for the fun of it. Okay, so that looks good. That looks good. So we can say we can go ahead and do. We can go ahead and do color fixes for the rooms that we know. Oh no, that's not gonna work now. Yeah, that's not gonna work now because of what we did. Oh, I forgot it's you. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I forgot it's you for some reason. But that's okay. That's okay because it's actually not too big of a deal to deal with. We can go, and then find ourselves a door, and then attach ourselves a door. Draw a 2x2, 2x3, 2x3. We'll draw a 2x3. Yep. Then some of these we won't be able to do because of how the door combos work. But some of these are actually easy to fix, so we might as well do those now. Nice. Looks good, looks good. Let's see, and then we want boop, and then we can do the rest of our doors here. Get this one, boop, and this one, boop, and this one, and this one, and these ones, just like so. Then this here, which is gonna be here, we can easily replace some of these doors as well. This should actually only be a 2x2. So, yeah, that should actually be pretty easy to replace onto itself there. Nice, nice, nice. Looking pretty snazzy. Looking pretty cool. Alright. Alright, so that's some pretty decent progress tonight so far. We essentially finished one of the mini dungeons. So that is going to help things along pretty well. Because now we won't have to really worry about that. And just about done. And then the other shutter doors, we're going to have to create a new door set in order for those to work correctly. So this is complete insofar that, like, what we can do now. I mean, I could theoretically go ahead and make the new door set, but it takes time and it's annoying, and I just don't want to do that right now. I'd much prefer to actually make progress on the rest of the development as opposed to working on just that, because that is minorly annoying and majorly meh. So we are not going to worry about that. Okay, so this here is what we want. It's going to be exit back to town, which is what we need. We got our little poison bits, which would be fun to have to try to navigate around, especially considering the color palettes and how similar the poison is to the actual ground. Yeah. For those of you that are just checking in now and haven't been exposed to the rest of the development, the general gist of what we're doing, or what I'm doing here, I'm building a game for my friend who's also on the CoopCouch channel. You know, we do this collaboratively, you know, the two of us. Usually we do you know, streams together on, you know, Friday's our main day, but also we occasionally do solo stuff, and that's what I'm doing here, is sort of showing the development of this. I'm basically trying to build this for him, since he's not really been exposed to too many Zelda games. He's only really played Breath of the Wild as far as I'm aware. So I want to build like a CoopCouchGaming game using the classic, the Zelda Classic or the ZQuest builder, which is a tool that is not really utilized like very much. Like, I've seen some people use this tool in the past, but like, given how old this tool is, I'm surprised that there hasn't been more of a following behind this, because it really is an amazing tool. I've actually made some stuff with my grandfather before, because he loves Zelda games as well. Yeah, I'm surprised that there isn't more of a following to, you know, the ZQuest and Zelda Classic in general, considering how just cool of a tool it is. Like, it's actually really nice. But yeah, that's pretty good progress. I'm probably going to go ahead and take a short intermission. We're about halfway through our stream time, so I'll probably take a short break here in a second. And when we come back, forced over. So as far as what we need, I need to add shops. That's something I'll do off screen, because that's also kind of boring. It's literally just setting it up, and you know, that's kind of boring. Optional dungeons, we are halfway there. So we're halfway through the optional dungeons, so that's cool. Yeah, so that's an interesting one. The next one will be the skill challenge. The oh, somebody's sending me stuff. Did I not already spawned? I guess I didn't. Sorry, something important. Yep, this is what happens when you work a job that requires you to basically always be working. Such as it is. Yeah, the problem is, you know, when you're working with customers and coworkers and stuff that are states away, and, you know, in California and elsewhere, it's like, oh, it's 9:30 here, but oh, it's only 5:30 where you are, and you're still doing work and need stuff from me. It's kind of like, it's like, ugh. It does get a little tiring after a bit, but hey, it's a good job. I won't turn it down. Not opposed to hard work. which is something to say. Which is definitely something big to say in today's environ, where it's hard to find anybody that's willing to actually do a hard day's work. It's like, yeah, I don't know, man. Fortunately, I was gonna say fortunately, because of COVID and everything, fortunately, my job has sort of changed. Whereas, as a, construction contractor before, like, we had to just travel a lot. One good thing that did amount from that is just since everybody's just had to adapt to being so much more, like, remote and, technologically enabled. There's some people at some of these facilities that we work with that, like, they probably wouldn't have actually adapted to, they probably wouldn't have adapted ever to, like, digital options as, like, a valid thing for some of what we do. But in, having to, become, sort of the, with the environment and everything that we have now of, trying to keep everything safe, sanitary, and what else, it allows, or it has made people adapt. And now, fortunately, I get to just either be in the office for the most part, as opposed to having to actually travel on site, or I can even work from home partially, which is great. So, because not having to actually travel places saves so much time with work and everything. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, so in that regard, I mean, it's actually pretty nice with how work in general is done now. It does allow for a little bit more of a relaxed environment as far as, travel requirements, things along those lines. But sorry, I'm rambling. Whenever I get talking about work, I pretty much just start the ramble, because just work is a little bit more too encompassing for me than what it probably should be. Unfortunately. I really need to, like, I haven't quite figured out that balance of, like, work and home yet. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I get into the work habit and essentially just don't stop working. Which is not exactly healthy in the long term. Granted, it means I can get a lot of work done, but, doesn't really matter if you get a lot of work done if you're, basically never stopping. It's like, oh, it's great to work and make money and all that jazz, but if you don't take time to actually do stuff to spend it and, actually do something with it, it's just kind of like, well, neat, I'm doing a whole lot of nothing with all the hard work that I've put in. So that is one balance I need to establish better, because I feel like I do work a little bit too much, and that's something that Mitchell's told me before too. I just need to learn to stop working, because oh no. And honestly, that's one good thing about streaming, doing the streams, is that it does keep me in the mindset of, like, I can just, like, take time to relax. I don't have to, like, push all the time to do work and to get stuff done. Like, I can just literally take time, like, take 2 hours out of a day, like we're doing here. I can just take 2 hours and just do something that I really enjoy, whether it be throwing this game together, which has actually been really fun. I've really enjoyed getting to sort of mess with this, and I can't wait until we actually finish it and have something to show Mitchell and have him play and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a thing of just needing to find that balance, that work home balance a bit better. Because, yeah, like I said, I mean, I could theoretically just, like, non-stop work, but in the long term, that's not going to be a valid option. So, yeah, I need to get that balance a bit better. Oh, as I unbalance my way into destroying another section of trees. Okay, I like the looks of this. This looks fun. Probably go ahead and just add a couple little bits here. No. There. That'll look good. Okay. So that will do it for our first optional dungeon, I think. That should be good because this is our entrance. We have a nice little burn puzzle to access this, so it's kind of out of the way, but still pretty obvious. Like, we want the player to find it. And that's the thing, with me designing this for Mitchell, I'd prefer him to actually, like, not miss stuff like that. And if he is clearly missing it, I would likely, like, call him out on it, right? Like, you know, if we're doing it as part of a stream, then, you know, I'd probably want him to, like, you know, actually explore a bit, as opposed to, like, just, like, booking it past and missing a bunch of secrets that will make the rest of it so much easier. Because, like, it is going to be a hard game. Like, it really is. Like, this is not going to be a cakewalk. But I'm going to set it up to where if he actually explores and finds what he's supposed to find, then it should be pretty easy. Like, or pretty easy in regards to, like, he should have all of the resources he'll need to, like, make it a fairly easy experience. Because the thing is, like, even in the first dungeon, you know, you have the option, like the first major dungeon, you have the option to, like, completely miss the throwing knives, but in doing so, you set yourself up for failure so early on, simply because, like, if you have the throwing knives, the dark nuts are not even a problem. They're like an actual non-issue. You just hit them once, and then you could pretty much deal half, if not in their entire health's worth of damage in the span of, you know, the time that they're frozen. So, there are certain things that are going to be, like, obvious, like, improvements. Like that, like, if he, you know, if he misses that, that's going to be huge. But if he's going to approach it from the mindset of, like, oh, exploring is actually important, it's like, he'll come across the throwing knives, and maybe he'll even get curious enough to say, oh, well, what if I fall down through here? Like, what if I just get carried away? Like, it seems like it connects, but it doesn't show up on the map, which he'd have the map by this point. So he would say, oh, well, let me just go and try and explore. It's like, oh, big shield, awesome, like, really cool. So I feel like it's kind of just setting it up for him to know to explore, to find, like, really cool stuff. And again, you know, this dungeon here, it's like, it seems like a lot, but in theory, if he does take the easiest route, he'll essentially walk up, push this block to here, push this block to here, go through here, either just run, he might even just run past. You can literally just, like, run past if you wanted. And then you fight a couple of the dongos. Like, these are not inherently, actually, you know what? I don't know if I want flamies in this room. No, I do want flamies in this room. I just want 2 of the whiz lights, because I feel like that's going to be almost too hard if you have that many guys in this small of a space. Yeah, let's do that instead. I like that better. But then you come in here, just blow up the things. This will actually, in theory, be his first encounter with the Dodongos, assuming he finds this early enough. So it'll be interesting to see how he approaches that. As far as, you know, what he tries to do to beat them. You know, he might figure out that he needs to do the bombs, he might not. If he doesn't, then he's kind of just stuck. He's going to have to die. Because there's going to be no way to get out of this room once you actually get into it, unless you defeat the enemies. So, what do you call them? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, really. Like, yeah, so shutters, that's what we want. yeah, I mean, that should be pretty much everything here for what we need. Yeah, this here is just a normal shutter. These here are just normal shutters, I think, right? Yeah, these are just shutters locked. Alright. Well, that looks good. I'm gonna call that complete for the first the first optional dungeon for the town. So have that be complete right there. Next up, ye old challenge dungeon. This one, if you haven't already noticed, it's going to be ghost themed. So we're gonna have a bunch of the little ghost demons. What are they? Not the Gibdos, but the Geezy or whatever they're called. I don't remember. They're G something, aren't they? Genie. Yeah, the genies. Yeah, so this is gonna be sort of the genie themed dungeon. They're a fairly decent challenge unto themselves. They're kind of an annoying enemy to deal with. Especially like there's going to be a bunch of graves and stuff in this particular dungeon. So it can really add to the challenge if they're getting knocked around and stuff like that. But yeah, so there's going to be this is going to be a very small dungeon. It's really just going to be more of a difficult dungeon. Like it's going to have to be, I mean, it's only going to be a couple of rooms, but the few rooms that you have to try to complete are going to make it a pretty difficult one. Because there's going to be some of these guys. I'll throw in maybe a couple of dark nuts or something to, you know, act as sort of the boss encounter, if you will, at the end of this particular small dungeon. But for now, like I said, we are about halfway through. I think I'm going to go ahead and take a short intermission. I will be back here in a little bit. See you soon. And we're back. Heyo. Welcome back to whoever happens to be on the stream. We are back into some game making. You know, so before the intermission, sort of went through what we were doing. Basically building a game for Mitchell using the ZQuest engine, which is part of, well, Zelda Classic, if you know that. It's a game engine that somebody threw together that essentially, you know, it's designed with the intention of building NES-style Zelda games. I am trying to build one in the fashion of CoopCouchGaming, keeping it thematic. So that's essentially what I'm doing. We've got Mr. Sir Coops. Where's our little man? Let's see. Sir Coops, where are you at? No, here he is. Color palette. Ha! Yes, Mr. Coop. Yes, Sir Coop. Or Sir Coopins. Ready for whatever challenging adventure I decide to throw him through. But yeah, I'm basically building a very challenging Zelda game for Mitchell to play. The other member of CoopCouchGaming, for those of you that happen to know. So essentially, he hasn't really played a Zelda game like this before, at least. He's played Breath of the Wild and similar, but he's not played Yo classics. So I wanted to throw him into it and throw it into him very hard, because that'd just be funnier to watch, honestly. So yeah, he's been refraining himself from spoilers, which is great. And I have been pretty much doing this on stream, so, you know, if you have any feedback or want me to add anything to the game to make him frustrated or otherwise, you know, anything that's a good idea, then let me know. But yeah, continuing on, we built the other optional dungeon. We built a optional dungeon that is in our town. Let's see here. that's going to be located here. We need to still build our second dungeon, our second optional dungeon. This one is going to be short, and it's going to be one of the skill dungeons that I discussed before, where Link or Sir Coops in our case is going to unlock a new ability. So, without further ado, let's get on into it. So we'll go to DMaps, we'll go to this. We'll go ahead and name it something, Town of Bomb. We'll do Town of Bomb optional number 2. Appearance doesn't really matter all that much. We'll set it for this. We want it to be NES Dungeon. We want it to operate on map 5 because we haven't done anything with map 5. Like I said, this particular dungeon is going to be fairly short. We'll have it start, at 1. And we'll just have it continue in a straight line. It's going to be a challenge dungeon. He's essentially just going to have to defeat several groups of enemies before he unlocks the new ability. Keep it nice and simple. If Mr. Sir Coops here dies, he will start back in the dungeon at 11. We won't really need the compass, but we'll set it to 14. We'll set it to 15. Because that would put us in the last room. In this instance, we're going to have the item spawn upon the last enemies in the last room dying. As opposed to, the boss being in the room prior to the big reward. So, we'll do that. Map 5, it's going to be level 0 because there's no Triforce bit associated with it. And that should be good. We'll go ahead, go to map 5. Should be a blank map, which it is. For the sake of convenience, we'll go ahead, grab our templates from our other one here, because that makes it a little bit easier to get around, if you will. Not that that's really needed for this, considering how little room it actually is, how little the actual rooms are. So we go 1, 2, so it's going to be 4 rooms worth of battle. So that's good. Let's go ahead and see. I don't want it to be this color though. Let's see what existing door sets we have to work with. See if we like a color. So that's like a light blue. What we want to do now. Nah. Oh, is that the same? Why did you not change? Oh, because I need to do that. I could do green, but we did green for the other optional dungeon. I don't know if I would want to do double green. We could always just do simple, yeah, that'll work. Let's see, which color palette is that going to be though? We'll have to see. It's not that, is it? No. It's going to be... No, that's not it. Color palette. Oh, brain. Here we go. This is the color palette that we want to work with. Okay, so we'll do color fix, full screen, and boom jams. We have ourselves a working dungeon. We'll have Link / Sir Coopin start in this room here. He'll need to be able to get out of the dungeon, so we'll want to side warp out there. He'll need to side warp to 335. So we'll go back, side warp, we'll go this, screen 35. And it's going to be entrance exit. And we need map 2. No, is that right? Map 2. Yeah, it's technically, yeah, because 0. Oh, why is my brain deciding not to work? It's getting late is what it is, and we could do that to you. No, that's the Town of Bomb, which is what we want. We don't want to warp to the optional dungeon. So, Town of Bomb, entrance exit, screen 35. So, that's all good. Now, it's always get thrown off because you have 0 operate as 0, but also it's considered DMAP 1, which it's... No, the DMAPs also start with 0. It's the viewer. The viewer starts at 1 as your 0 DMAP. So that's a little bit confusing. But yeah, so that's good, 35, because that'll put us right back to here. We need our warp zone A, which will stick there. And we should be covered. Should be good. We'll go ahead and have our other doors. We'll make these. We do want this to be a challenge room, or challenge dungeon, so we'll make it to where they can only make forward progress. Yeah, only forward progress will be had here, Mr. Coops. Alright. So we'll do... No, not shutter. We want... one-way shutter. Oh yeah, it resets every single room. That's okay. Easy enough to fix. Not maze path. We don't want that open either. We want that to also be a shutter. Do shutter, we'll reset it. We'll do shutter, and we'll do shutter. Then this will be our last room. We'll also need to do one-way shutter. And then we'll do one final shutter, but that will actually be the exit to the dungeon. So we're going to want a side warp. We'll do side warp. We'll go, and that'll take us back to 35 in our town. So again, it's going to be entrance exit. Use warp zone A, or warp return A. So that should be good. We'll go ahead and do our color fix for all of these ones. But otherwise, that should essentially be it as far as the layout that we're going for and how to access it. Yeah. Looks like it should work. Should work and it should work. Unless I'm debating whether to do... I always second guess myself on these. No, we can do this. This would be a nice contrast to the sort of the normal sort of browns, greens, and whites that we have going up here. Whereas this would be a bit more clash. It would be a bit more pop as opposed to the actual entranceway. So yeah, we can leave this as is then. For this, we'll have, I guy show up and basically explain a little bit about, oh, it's an optional blah, 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 blah. Who do we want to actually explain that? Probably, I don't know, why don't we have the old lady be our explainer? We haven't really utilized her for anything yet, so. But yeah, we'll have a message string. I'll throw that together. But yeah, they'll essentially explain, oh, well, you've gotta do the thing and beat the things. More or less what we're aiming for. So this here, we're actually going to want graves, because, what do you call them? Because this is going to be our graveyard themed little mini dungeon. I mean, we already basically set that up as the general theme up here at the top, but we're going to keep that theme going down here in the dungeon. So if we do want to go, what do you call them here? Oh, wow, 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 wow. But, oh, I cycled where I didn't want to be. So, here we'll have our different gravestones. And we can put them essentially wherever we want, which is the great thing. But we don't want to make it completely unfair either. So we'll put them in fairly logical positions, except for that one. That one needs to go back by. So we'll start out with this. Then we'll progress to something a little bit harder. Yips. Then we'll progress to something even a little bit harder. Stop it. Starting to get too tired. My clicks are not what they need to be. Stop misclicking. So we'll make it a little bit harder. Then in the final room, we'll make it very hard. We'll make it uber difficulto. Just like so. Because that is going to be a bit of a challenge to navigate without awakening the undead. So we'll have some, what do you call them? Oh, what are they called? The genies. We'll have some genies in this room. We'll have some more genies in this room. We'll have some more genies in this room. And in the last room, we'll have a bunch of them. You'll have some in this room. They'll be backed up by some Stalfos. Just because we can, we'll have this first room also hold a Gibdo. But not just any Gibdo. We'll have our boss variant Gibdo that I whipped up real quick, just to make it to where it's a little bit more of a potential drain on the resources of the player before they get too far along into the challenge rooms. But that being said, now what we need is this. Here we're going to want to give Link, or in our case Sir Coops, we're going to want to give him the, what's it called? The spit attack. As that is going to be very, very nice for Sir Coop pretty much throughout the rest of his journey in this land. So he is going to get the spin attack. It's going to drop. We'll have it drop right there. Nah. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty easy to reach location. Okay, so we'll have him get that there. We need to set our data because we need to change this to enemies equal secret. Yeah, might as well. Nah, they'll have the ability to run back through this area if they want. Okay. Actually, for that matter, I kind of want to make a new genie. Copy. I kind of want to make a boss variant of the genie that we can add to this. Make them different colored. Nice. Genie. Extra spooky. Spooky. There we go. So, we'll make him extra spooky. He'll have... Well, he'll do twice as much damage as a normal genie. And also he'll have... of twice as much health. So he'll essentially be double genie. Double the normal genie. We'll also... We can make him a little bit slower though. We'll have a move speed of 35. So he'll actually be a bit slower than the others. But he's a bit more tanky. So it offsets it a bit. Nah, defenses. Don't really need anything for that. Spawn animations puff, that's fine. We don't really want an effect to him. Nah, he'll just be a bit more trickety. But we'll make the extra spooky one in this room. We'll make it the team leader. So that means if that one dies before the rest, then all the other ones die as well. Which I feel like is fair, considering how many are in this room. It'd be nice if they had a little bit more of an expedie words. Tired words need sleeps. But I'd like to at least get this one done before wrapping up, if you will. So yeah, we'll see here. So you defeat this, you get the drop. Enemies equal items. Ringleader holds up item. Item falls from the ceiling. That's fine. I do like it when that happens. Everything else is fine. One other thing I might change, I might make these dark rooms, just for the sake of making it extra spooky. Extra spooky, these ones. So dark room. That's not the one I wanted. Screen data, dark room. Let's see, dark room. And no, this will be the only room that's not dark. This will be a normal room. But for the shutters, I'm thinking, what do you call them? That's not what I want. Or is it? No, there's nothing I really want out of that. Now I'm thinking what we can do for this. We can have in each of these rooms we can have one of these graves be push to unlock, like pushable. What do you call them? Sort of like how we did here, but with a bit more consequence, since the other ones do spawn big baddies and whatnot. You don't really need any flags for that setup. It pretty much is what it is. Block equals shutters. I think you have to do the same for the graves, if I remember. So I'm thinking, what do you call them? Grave. Or do they play off of the same push block trigger? They might. So I'm not alright seeing a grave specific tag. Armor's chest, path rift, push block. So I'm guessing it's just push block then. If I had to guess. I type grave. When touches combo produces one genie. Okay. Yeah, I wonder then, we might, if that's the case, I'm fairly certain that push block affects the grave combo. But since I don't know that guaranteed, we can do just like a really quick fix real quick. What we can do, we can go to graphics, go to our tiles. We'll go to, as soon as I get up here, rock. No, actually, no. We need combos. We'll need our combos is what we'll need. Because what we can do, we can define our own grave block. Wherever that's going to be. That's going to be down a bit. Overworld tiles. Now we want fancy little grave tiles right here. Have it be solid. Type we want push block or block push. What's it called? Push weight, I believe, is what we want. We essentially want to treat it the same as we treat these blocks. So push weight, none, solid, good. That's what we want. So essentially we'll just have that be our push block, and that's pretty much it really. So we'll scroll on down here. We will scroll on down here to our new push weight combo. We'll switch to this. If it will allow me to do so. Ah, perfect. That's what we want. And then we can attach a push, what do you call them? Push 4-way. Now we want push. It's going to be push something trigger. Push left mini. No. Push. Push once. We just want simple push once trigger. As far as how they do push it, I feel like they would most likely approach from the right or the left side. So we'll do that, or maybe we could just do horizontal. Nah, let's have it be specific. They have to push it right toward this one. Then in this room, we'll do something similar. But this time we'll have it be the opposite. Be the opposite end, and we'll have it push left. And this is something that we can maybe hint at in the dialogue as being the right way to do it. So we push. We'll go back and do this one next. So this will then also be push. And then to unlock this one, we'll be back to the left. So effectively it'd be right, left, for how you're supposed to push it. So it's a right push, left push, right push, and we'll go back to combo 50, left push. And then that will be how you complete the dungeon. So you'll be able to unlock the special move there. I'll play test this to make sure that it is plausible to actually complete this. This will be a hard little dungeon, but again, it is technically optional, and they can approach this at any time. So if they do, or if he does think that it is too challenging now, there is the chance that he can come back once he has some better stuff. Because yeah, the skill dungeons are supposed to be very hard, but can be approached at any time. So you know, it can justifiably be harder because it's later content, if you will. Like in theory, you could wait until like mid-game, you know, to sort of approach the skill dungeons and start really hitting those hard. So, but yeah, that's pretty much this little mini dungeon then. So, that is good, that is good. Alright, so that means that we have this dungeon here done, and we have the mini dungeon done. Which means that we have now completed the optional dungeons for our town. We'll have to make sure that those all connect properly and are play tested properly, but I feel like that's pretty good progress. We were able to do 2 dungeons and, you know, sort of clean up the town and everything a little bit. You know, this play session, so I feel like that was some pretty decent content there. Alright, so going into next time, we need to, first and foremost, we need to, number 1, add shops to the town of Bomb. So that's one goal for next time. Number 2, really, it's pretty much just start building the forest overworld. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at now. We're getting ready to approach one of the big areas of the game. So we'll essentially be exploring the rest of this forest area next time. So that will be pretty neat. So we've finished you know, the first half of the forest area, the town for the forest area. So really it's just the other half of the forest area, and then this entire section of the game is done and ready to, well, be done. So yeah, so I feel like that's going to be pretty good. That's gonna, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But yeah, if you happen to like what we were doing here, definitely hit us with a follow. And if you weren't as entertained, which is probably the case, to be fair, you know, this is more just podcast material / tutorial, if you will. I don't really see people really doing much with ZQuest these days, unfortunately. Like pretty much the last videos and stuff I've seen on YouTube of it have been like from early like 2000, like the earlier 2000s, like 2000, 2008, 2009. Like, I haven't really seen, like, even on YouTube and stuff, like, I have not really seen any big content in regards to, like, ZQuest or Zelda Classic. Like, I know that the tutorial that I really like to listen to by Team, what's it called? Team UDF. He has a tutorial, discussing ZQuest. But the thing is, like, it's 13 years old, It's like there's, like, no modern content, really. Like, there's another guy that 8 years ago threw together a tutorial, but in terms of ZQuest, like, there's just not a whole lot going on. Like, I'm sure, like, Zelda Classic, as far as, like, people playing the games, right? I feel like that's probably more common. I mean, even then, like, I'm really not seeing too awful much. Like, 4 years ago. Okay, here's one from about 9 months ago. But, yeah. The ZQuest content is harder to come by. Which is kind of unfortunate considering how great of a tool it is for these type of projects. But, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's definitely working with old tech and old ideas, but it just, I don't know. There's something about these games that's just nostalgic and, great for me. Like, let's see, I'll cut over and we can talk for a little bit before we wrap up. But, yeah, nice progress tonight. Got two optional dungeons done for the town, clean up the town a little bit. So yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Like I said, next time we'll be getting into the actual forest overworld bit. That should be pretty quick. It pretty much just involves just kind of just open world, more or less, like with the major areas that kind of connect the different regions. It's not so much like enclosed, if you will, like a normal dungeon or even like the town and stuff is. It's definitely going to be a lot more open and sort of exploration-y. So it won't really take as long to really put it together, especially the forest area, considering that the forest area is just what it is. Like, the mountain is going to be a bit trickier as far as the design, but the forest, that shouldn't really take that long at all, just because it's, you have trees. It's honestly going to take longer to decorate the forest area than it actually is to really think out, like, how the mapping is going to work. But yeah, that is where we will call it for tonight. Like I said, if you happen to like this little mini series I'm doing here, definitely hit it with a follow. Smash the button of liking and whatnot if you're on YouTube and happen to see this. Like I said, I'd love to keep doing some like ZQuest content, considering how hard it is to find. Unfortunately, like it's such a great tool, and to see that it's just kind of died off in popularity is just kind of it's unfortunate. I mean, even then, there's this program in particular. I mean, it hasn't really had a big following. Like, even when it was like new and exciting, you know what I mean? Like, there are still a very few, like a very small group of people that actually utilize the tool, right? There's probably like 10 projects I know of online that use it, that actually utilized it and released something. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's unfortunate that there aren't more people that are using it, especially with how much you can do with the program. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe get a little revitalize the genre of ZQuest and Zelda Classic, and see some more people working with it. I mean, that would be great. I would honestly love that. But until then, yeah, definitely check it out for yourself. Like, if anything, if you've ever been curious to sort of mess around and make your own Zelda game, more or less. Like, definitely check it out. Like, it's a lot of fun to just like kind of mess around with it and see what you can do. Because you can do a lot with it. So, but I mean, that being said, it is late. I am tired. And yeah, I mean, that's essentially it. All right, well, we'll go ahead and call it there. Yeah, looking forward to Friday's stream. Getting back into the traditional cooping. Got more Dark Souls planned with Mitchell, so that'll be really great. Yeah, definitely looking forward to our usual stream. But yeah, until then, get some good sleep. And I will see you all Friday. Yeah, bye, all.